Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another legal breaking reporting and video analysis update. Firstly, Donald Trump is going off and ranting about Democratic senators winning and overperforming in Tennessee's 7th Congressional District. Let's get into the reporting. He decided to, ladies and gentlemen, take the Truth Social reading and rant and type this post. Quote, "I am asking for all America First Patriots in Tennessee's 7th Congressional District who haven't voted yet to please get out and vote on Election Day, Tuesday, December 2nd, for a phenomenal candidate, Matt Van Epps. Matt is fighting against a woman who hates Christianity, will take away your guns, wants to open borders, transgender for everybody, men and women's sports, and openly disdains country music." She said all of these things precisely and without question. It's on tape. The post reads and continues, "Do not take this race for granted. The radical left Democrats are spending a fortune to beat one of these candidates we've ever had. One of the best candidates we ever had. Matt Epps. You," he continues, "can win this election for Matt. Get out and vote for Matt Van Epps, who has my complete and total endorsement. He will never let you down." Ladies and gentlemen, our next reporting is a question that many of you have been asking. What is the chance Donald Trump gets arrested on January 20th, 2025? Let's get into that. The chance of Donald Trump being arrested on the specific date of January 20th, 2029 is speculative and highly uncertain. Legal experts suggest it is possible, but many factors make it unlikely. Ladies and gentlemen, here is a breakdown of the situation. Firstly, the current status. Donald Trump is the current president of the United States. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, serving a second non-consecutive term that began on January 20th, 2025 of this year, and is scheduled to end at noon on January 20th, 2029. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get into presidential immunity. The general consensus and Department of Justice policy is that a sitting president cannot be criminally prosecuted or arrested while in office. This means that any legal action involving an arrest would likely have to wait until after he leaves office on January 20, 2029. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the pending legal cases. As of late 2025, several of the original cases against him have been dissolved or dismissed. The federal election subversion case and the classified documents case were dropped by the special prosecutor following his election, primarily due to due to the policy against prosecuting a sitting president. Ladies and gentlemen, the second case is the election interference case down in Georgia that was also dropped by the new prosecutor in November 20th, 2025, which was obviously recently, ladies and gentlemen. The next case is in the New York hush money case, up to which, ladies and gentlemen, he was convicted on all 34 felony counts, but he was sentenced to an unconditional discharge. This means that, unfortunately, he faces no jail time, no fines, or probation. On January 10, 2025, he is currently appealing this conviction. Once, ladies and gentlemen, Trump leaves office on January 20th, 2029, he will be an ordinary citizen again and theoretically could face new indictments or the revival of paused legal actions, provided they are within the statute of limitations and there is political will to purpose that he will be 82 years old, ladies and gentlemen, at that time when he leaves office. Ladies and gentlemen, we're getting into the uncertainty of the specific date. The date, January 20th, 2029, ladies and gentlemen, is Inauguration Day for the next U.S. president. While his presidential immunity would end theoretically at that exact time, which is noon, an arrest at that specific moment would be an extraordinary and logistically complex event. Legal analysts have noted it is possible but highly speculative whether any charges would be actively pursued for an 82-year-old former president so many years after the alleged events. Ladies and gentlemen, in summary, while the legal possibility of future prosecutions exists after January 20, 2029, the prediction of an arrest on that exact date is impossible to confirm and depends on heavily future political and judicial circumstances. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you guys did enjoy this quick answer of whether or not the possibility of Trump's charges on whether they can be revived or not. If you did enjoy this legal breaking reporting, please like, comment, share, subscribe, and enjoy for more legal breaking news that you need to know about. More to come.